Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to talk to you guys about something called perspective. Now, the perspective is not so much your perspective on the game. The perspective that I'm more referring to is the perspective of the camera in the game when you're playing. Now, for those of you that don't know, there are different games out there that use different camera perspectives. Some of them are top-down, like in a MOBA. Some of them are through the eyes of the player, like a first-person shooter, like a Call of Duty. And then there are some, like this game and a lot of ARPGs, that are third-person, where you can you're watching from a little bit of a far-away view, and you can see the character's full body and their full range of motion. And this is generally, agreed upon, or this is generally thought of as the prettiest one, or the one that has the most applicability to these types of games. You know, games like Dark Souls, stuff like that. All of the, obviously, Diablo series and other games of those kinds of genres. It doesn't really suit shooters to be third person as much as it does for other games and games like this. And for the most part, in Future Fight, we have this one camera angle where it's about 7 or 10 feet away from the character, and it just shows you everything from this limited angle. I'm not sure exactly what the angle is. I'm not a zoologist or something like that. I don't work with numbers, but there are a few instances where we get special points of view. So for example, with the new story missions, especially the one that I highlighted for you in Chapter 12 for Snakes on the Plane, you get an awesome different view of the game, and you get a very zoomed out view from the final boss battle against that giant serpent, which is also available in the World Boss Invasion. As well, from the epic quest in the Dark Dimension, from both Increasing Darkness and Dark Advent, you do see differing angles that will pan to the left or to the right, depending on what part of the level you're going through, because it turns or it curves. Now, of course, up until now, guys, the things that I'm talking about are purely aesthetic. They're purely just for your visual enjoyment and delight of the game through your eyeballs. There's nothing of importance as far as strategy goes, or as far as, optimization. And you can also turn on the... Oh, they have a zoom feature now. That's really cool. I was looking for the feature where you can hide all of the buttons, but I guess for some reason it's not available in these particular missions. You could see that orange full screen button in the story mode missions and in the earlier chapters, but I guess for this one we can't do that, but we can zoom in and out. But there is some level of importance, or there is kind of a, not really a PSA, but something I wanted to alert and bring to your attention, guys, because it is of some small importance, and in the very least it will soothe the brains or the psyches of the folks, myself included, who may have noticed this change recently and may have thought themselves to be insane. But I'm here to tell you that you're not insane, at least not in the sense that you think the camera angle has changed or the perspective has changed, because unfortunately, or for better or for worse, it doesn't really matter all that much, there is a game mode, and a particularly meaningful game mode, where the camera angle has changed for some people, not for everybody. So what am I talking about here? Today, when I was going through World Boss and I was doing my Black Dwarf runs, I noticed that something just felt a little bit different. Something felt a little bit off. It wasn't his usual stench or odor. There wasn't as much, spray tan caked onto Lindsay's face. There was just something different about Black Dwarf that I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So I decided to put my eyes on it, and I'll show you guys here, and I'll put a side by side with the old video from more than a week ago, where I did the free-to-play Black Dwarf kill, and I'll do the exact same team. I'll just use whatever strikers, because the strikers really don't matter in this situation. I'm not going to be trying to clear the fight in any way, shape, or form. I'm just engaging with the exact same characters to show you guys there are no shenanigans. There's no Chris Angel, Mind Freak, David Blaine light tricks going on right now. The camera angle has been reduced, has been nerfed for tablet users. Prior to this, stealth patch, stealth change, whatever you want to call it, tablet users, were afforded a much wider and further frame of view for these world boss fights. Specifically, it doesn't really matter so much in story mode missions. It doesn't really matter in special missions or daily missions or villain siege or whatever, but it did actually matter quite a bit for these missions, because as you guys can see by comparison, this is a really tight perspective. This frame of view is really, really short. You cannot see both sides of the arena comfortably unless you're right here exactly. If you're not standing right here, you cannot see both sides. And in a lot of instances, by just running a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, you actually rob yourself of the view of the world boss, him or herself. And in the case of some of these world bosses, especially if you're a new player, and especially if it's this fucking orange freak, you have no fucking clue what he's about to do. And that makes it a lot harder. It makes it tremendously harder to anticipate what he's going to do next. Believe me, that was one of the things that I struggled with the most when I started playing world bosses when they first came out. Because when they first came out, I didn't have a tablet as I do now, and so I was playing on my phone. And on people's phones, this is the view that they've gotten used to since day one. However, if you guys didn't know, this whole time tablet users had it a lot better. They had it quite easy because they had the view that you saw in the Black Dwarf video, that zoomed out kind of more of a bird's eye or a perched eye view of the arena. And that really counted for a lot. And it's something that I actually ended up taking for granted, even though I've been playing this game for longer without a tablet than with a tablet. It's something that I just came to expect. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have this awesome view of the world boss fight. And I mean, I'm not really trying right now to clear Black Dwarf, so obviously I'm losing, and that's, you know, to be expected. Don't take the change in camera angle or the zoomed in nature that we have now as an indication that suddenly it's like a mountain of difficulty. But it is a little bit more difficult. I don't want to over or understate this situation, and I think that it's unfortunate for people who may have recently invested in tablets, although I don't imagine there are many of you out there, and there's probably very few of you even watching my videos who did that. But if you did, you might feel a little bit screwed over right now, because that might have been one of the contributing factors to you investing in that tablet for this game, because everyone I talked to prior to getting my tablet who had a tablet and played this game said, yeah, the world bosses, zoomed out camera angle, way easier to see what the fuck is going on. And I'm gonna guess, I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see, but I'm gonna guess that this is not just for Black Dwarf. This is gonna be the same for all of the world bosses. The world bosses that it matters the most for, to be honest, I think in order, is Black Dwarf is probably gonna be the worst or the most punishing for tablet users or users that are using an emulator or something like that, because you're losing that zoomed out perspective. Secondly, I would probably say Infinity Thanos, just because his patterns are a little bit more ingrained in people's minds who've been trying to kill him, and usually if you're trying to kill Infinity Thanos, you already have a pretty awesome roster, but it still will be very difficult with this new zoomed in camera angle. And then Supergiant, I think she can catch a lot of people off guard, especially because you can't see what her mind-controlled Black Bolt is going to do, and those red marks on the floor sometimes come a little bit too late, and so that's gonna probably catch a lot of people off guard and surprise them, and probably gonna make the world boss quite a bit more difficult. I'm not really looking forward to the 4 days and 20 hours from now when I have to face Infinity Thanos with this new zoomed in camera angle. So if it was just an accident and someone, you know, goofed up in the coding on Netmarble's part, please go back and change it, because I really want that bird's eye view perspective back. I know I might sound like I'm whining and that it's really nothing, or that I should learn to get good and play like everyone else plays on their phones, but no, fuck that. It's a lot more comfortable, and it feels a lot more natural to play with that positioning of the camera, especially in very difficult end game content like Infinity Thanos, and, you know, forcing us to use the perspective that a phone user uses, just because of like whatever it is, the processors getting buckled or the CPU. I don't know, I don't know why there was a better camera angle for tablet users and a worse camera angle for mobile, just for phone users. But it's not really fair to bring us. I mean, it is fair, but it's it's bullshit. I mean, I want it to change. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention, guys, as something that does actually bother me, and something that might bother you guys. And if it doesn't bother you, at least you're more informed now about how the game used to, you know, appear to people, whether they're playing on their phones or whether they're playing on a tablet, and that these kinds of perspective differences do actually have a really big impact on the way that you play, and they can make it easier or more difficult to complete the exact same content based solely on the position and the zoom of the perspective and the camera in the game. So, you know, I guess kind of hopefully secretly in the back of my mind, I wish that this is just a temporary thing and it goes back to the way it was, because I much preferred that bird's eye view that I had before in all of my previous world boss related videos. But unfortunately, if it doesn't and we're stuck with this new you know, universal fair is fair camera angle for all users, whether they're playing on their phone, whether they're playing on a tablet, whether they're playing on an emulator or whatever, so be it. But I, for one, would rather go back to the way things were, just for ease of my play. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you noticed that at all, or if you probably think that you could get more world boss clears with a different camera angle, because I know for sure when I was playing on my phone, when I first started this thing, it was hell. 1 minute Black Dwarf would be, you know, somewhere off screen spinning. The next minute he would just pop up and start railing me, asking me for, you know, this month's rent. So he's kind of doing this right now to Thanos. So I mean, I might lose this one as well. I mean, who are we kidding? I'm not going to, but you can see this new camera angle sucks balls for me. So maybe it'll change, maybe it won't. Let me know what your thoughts are. And of course, guys, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.